Impossible tasks. It is usual in mind-controlled environments that the psychopaths and narcissists set impossible tasks for those around them. This occurs in cults, intimate relationships, toxic families, work situations, and so on. Something to keep in mind. When I talk of cults, think of an intimate relationship or a toxic family as a cult of 2 or 4 or 5 people. Same dynamics, same control techniques, same results. Except things are often more intense because the leader gives all their attention to 1 or 2 people instead of 5,000. In cults, for example, there are goals set for the members. Initially, the leader will claim to be living his life according to the ideas of the group, and will already have reached these goals. He sets himself or herself up as the ideal to be copied. This may be a life without sinning, always being happy, being in a particular state, a life dedicated to the service of others, negating the material for the spiritual, or any number of ideas. Initially, it is sold to the member as something they should aspire to, and they make great attempts to achieve this goal. But then there are failures. The member can't quite get there. These failures are used to point out to the individual how he or she is weak, defective, not trying hard enough, or that he or she is a failure. The individual is criticized and or encouraged to put more effort into achieving the goals. But of course, the goals are impossible to achieve, which guarantee more failures, which means more criticism, which means the person is driven deeper and deeper into the thinking of the cult. Likewise, in intimate relationships, the psychopaths and narcissists expect all sorts of things from their suffering partners, many of which are unattainable. The psychopath demands that their partner or child improve their attitude, but never indicates what a proper attitude is. A narcissist insists that when he comes home from work, the house is spotless, and if his wife does this for 7 days in a row, then they can have sex. Then on day 5 or 6, he finds 1 speck on a carpet, and they have to start counting all over again. Another manipulator wants food cooked to his specifications, but every meal there's something slightly off. Not enough salt, too hot, too cold, not enough food, too much food, too wet, too dry. It is common that the psychopaths and narcissists want to be taken care of in lots of ways, but no matter how much the victim tries, it is never enough. This never enough is a common theme among those who are in intimate relationships with manipulators. No matter how hard you try, or how much you do, or how much you give of yourself, it's never enough. This is another impossible task. The more the psychopaths and narcissists get, the more they want and expect. And in work situations, it's very easy for a manipulative boss to set their target subordinate up to fail. They can set unrealistic deadlines, withhold resources from the employee, deny them access to information, keep them busy with so many projects that they cannot hope to finish any one of them, and so on. The difficulty is that when a person is caught by the psychopaths and narcissists, these goals don't seem unreasonable. Very often at the start, it's almost energizing for you to set out and aim for these new and exciting targets. But after a while, you begin to realize that they're not so easy to attain. Because of the nature of mind control, you come to believe that you yourself are the problem. If only you were smarter or harder working, if you applied yourself more, things might be different. This phase can go on for years. Dealing with such a situation requires some critical thinking. Again, something that is not so easy when under the influence of mind control. So what exactly is the goal? And as best as you can, you need a reality check. Is this goal actually achievable? Would other people outside the situation think that this is a worthwhile goal? What changes have you experienced that indicate that you're actually closer to achieving this goal? These have to be measurable, and not things like, well, my relationships are better or my communication has improved. Another important consideration is whether there is a time limit within which you should have reached the goal. Cults will not give a limit, but rather offer that the goal is a thing you will spend your lifetime going after. In intimate relationships, the time limit is usually yesterday, In other words, you should have reached this goal already. You should be able to anticipate the manipulator's every need. Every time that you don't is a reason for criticism. And how will you know when you've achieved it? There has to be tangible evidence that is obvious to anyone. For example, a certain amount of money in the bank. You can run a mile in 6 minutes. Or you've lost 10 pounds. These are all measurable evidences. When the boss or the leader or your spouse says so, is not acceptable evidence. Neither is, I will feel right or I'll feel good about it. These things are not measurable, but are frequently what the psychopaths and narcissists use as measurements because it means they can keep moving the goalposts. If you recognize that you're in a situation where there are impossible tasks, then you know it's time to get out, to leave. Click here for the next tip. Mind yourself. Take care.